You're watching Satluj TV News. I'm Angus Scott in London. Following the untimely death of Sikh activist Avtar Singh Khanda yesterday in a Birmingham hospital, the Sikh community across the UK have united in demanding an investigation into the cause of the high-profile campaigner's death. Kanda was admitted to Birmingham City Hospital earlier this week and, after a brief spell in intensive care, passed away in the early hours of Thursday morning. He had been seen in good health just a few days earlier. Before his death, Kanda had managed to pass on final words to his supporters.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ 'ਚ ਰਹੋ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਵੀ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ 'ਚ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਜੋ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਪੰਥ ਨੂੰ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ 'ਚ ਰੱਖਿਓ ਕਿਸੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਡੋਲਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੰਦੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਆਪੇ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ
Whilst unofficial reports claimed Kanda had been diagnosed with blood cancer only a few days earlier, social media in both the UK and India soon became rife with speculation that Kanda had been poisoned. Adding fuel to suspicions of unnatural causes behind Kanda's death, Indian Hindu activists began posting tasteless messages across social media, rejoicing in Kanda's demise. The Sikh Council of the UK yesterday published a press release stating how the community remained surprised and shocked at how Kanda's death came after being seen in such good health only recently. The council paid tribute to Kanda's extensive record of advocacy for Sikh human rights, highlighting the fact that his involvement in the protests outside the India High Commission in London in March resulted in both his mother and sister being arrested by Indian police in the Punjab. Kanda then successfully campaigned for their release. Kanda was universally recognised by the Sikh diaspora as an articulate and effective leader in the campaign against the Indian government, who in recent years have been accused of violating the rights of several Indian minorities, including the Sikhs. His activism had in recent years attracted the attention of the Indian government, whose reaction was to counter his activities with an organised campaign of disinformation to undermine his reputation amongst both the Indian community and elsewhere. Fearing for his own safety, Kanda had applied for and was granted political asylum here in the UK in 2012, where he could continue his campaigning in relative safety. However, in a controversial move but indicative of the fear the community now find themselves living in, several Sikh organisations have today suggested the possibility that the Indian government may have some involvement in the death of Kanda. In their press release, the Sikh Council highlight the precedent of Russian state involvement in the poisoning and death of Alexander Litvinenko on UK soil in 2006, and then the more recent poisoning of Sergei Skripal and his wife in 2018, also by the Russian government. The Sikh Council have now demanded that a thorough investigation and post-mortem is carried out in Kanda's case, to reassure the community that the Indian state were not involved in his untimely death. In a similar statement, Ravinder Singh, the CEO of UK-based international aid organisation Khalsa Aid, has written an open letter to the West Midlands Police Force, calling for an investigation and post-mortem. Again, the letter seeks reassurance that Kanda's death was not politically motivated or indeed sinister. Khalsa Aid International is an internationally recognised aid organisation providing support around the world to victims of natural and man-made disasters, such as floods, earthquakes, famine and war. It was established by its founder, Ravi Singh, himself a highly respected figure in the Sikh community. And together with the Sikh Council of the UK, their combined voice represent the vast majority of Sikhs in the UK diaspora. The fact that these organisations, together with the Sikh Press Association, have united in calling for an investigation is indicative of the deep-rooted distrust and fear the Sikh community now find themselves in. Many Sikhs have fled the persecution of the Indian government to locations around the world that they believe safe from the reach of the Indian state machinery. But, whether justified or otherwise, the death of Kanda has ignited fears that India's notorious National Investigation Agency are now extending their activities inside the UK. In recent years, the UK government have been in protracted negotiations with the Indian government seeking to tie up a post-Brexit trade deal. With India now such a powerful force on the world stage, fears are mounting that British authorities are under pressure by the Indian government as part of the negotiations to be allowed to extend their persecution of the Sikh community here on UK soil. A fear exacerbated by the fact that British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is himself a practicing Hindu. An increasing number of articles published in the UK media written by Indian-based journalists perpetuating an anti-Sikh agenda is further fueling fears that the British government is caving in to this pressure. As a result, trust in the West Midlands police force to fully investigate Kanda's death remains in question, particularly after evidence emerged of collaboration between the force and Indian authorities in 2018 over the arrest of several Sikh campaigners in Birmingham. Fears are now rife that diplomatic pressure may be brought to bear in this case to avoid an investigation or any potential findings that may prove damaging to the Indian government. The calls for reassurance from Sikh community leaders that Kanda's death was indeed by natural causes are a clear appeal to British authorities to ensure that the Sikh community remain a respected and protected section of British society and free to campaign for the human rights of their families and compatriots in the Punjab. We'll bring you more on this story as it unfolds, but in the meantime, you've been watching Satluj TV News, and you can find more stories in detail on our channel Satnet News. So it's worth clicking on that subscribe button to make sure you get to see stories as they're broadcast. But don't forget, if you have any comments or opinions on any of our news stories, you can comment below, or indeed drop us a direct message at message@satlujtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, thanks for watching. For Satluj TV News, I'm Angus Scott in London.